We're coming up on Rittenhouse Square, which is one of the 5 original squares that William Penn created when he founded the city. Rittenhouse Square is a epicenter for Philadelphians. It has a ton of restaurants. It's just a place where a lot of people congregate in Philadelphia and come together. So anyway, this is Rittenhouse Square.
I like it. I would sneak away here if I worked at the Philly office. Welcome to After the Fact. For the Pew Charitable Trusts, I'm Emily Chow.
And I'm Juliana Pence. So, Emily, you were up in Philadelphia recently. How was that?
Philly was a lot of fun. It's such a short train ride that it makes it totally worth it to just see our colleagues in person and also explore Pew's history that most people may not know about.
Hopping on the Amtrak and heading up there.
You get to the office. It's, tall building, which we don't have here in D.C. I swear my ears popped. And then, we were supposed to use our badges to get into the door. It didn't work. It's like when you come to the Pew D.C. office and you forget your ID.
It happens to me literally all the time. I'm walking around with a yellow badge.
Yeah, the yellow badge of shame.
Yeah.
While there was nobody at the front desk, it was because folks were just in conference rooms preparing for the release of this State of the City report.
I feel like when State of the City season comes around, it's like even here, we all know.
We can feel the stress coming from Philadelphia.
Let's talk about the State of the City report.
It's sort of like the city's report card.
So for our listeners who might not know, Philadelphia is where Pew started, the Pew Charitable Trusts. It's our hometown. Even if you don't live in Philly, stick with us because there's a lot of data that speaks to challenges happening across the country.
We talked to Katie Martin, who leads Pew's Philadelphia Research and Policy Initiative.
I grew up here, and I've always wanted to work in city government in Philadelphia.
You were previously at the mayor's office, is that right?
Yes, under Mayor Nutter. And honestly, I came to Pew for State of the City.
Oh, really?
I loved that report. It was the reason why I wanted to work at Pew.
Wow. Okay, that's a great anecdote. Katie Martin knows this data in and out. And this flagship report covers everything from public safety to jobs. And we're going to talk about the housing challenges. Philadelphia has a really unique ranking as a city of homeowners.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But that gap is closing pretty fast, and housing prices are rising, and more people are being priced out of buying, especially these first-time buyers.
I mean, we're seeing that across the country.
A challenge that's making it particularly difficult is this issue called tangled titles, what's also referred to as heirs property.
So what is a tangled title?
The tangled titles happen when a person passes down a home to people in their family. However, the title does not get transferred. We have about 10,400 tangled titles across the city, and it's about $1.1 billion in wealth.
There's a lot of other cities that are struggling with this, and they're reaching out to Katie to try and talk through solutions that could help.
I'm going to Vancouver to talk on a panel about this. We're hearing from Detroit, Memphis, Atlanta, other cities across the country about how we did our analysis.
Okay, well, I'm eager to hear more about what she has to say. So should we get into it?
Let's do it.
What we do is study Philadelphia. And the State of the City is a report that we put out each year to better understand the trends that are impacting Philadelphia today. And it's providing a comparison of Philadelphia both over time to itself and with other large U.S. cities on how Philadelphia is changing over time.
Why is this report important for Pew?
It tracks what's happening in Pew's hometown. Who are the populations that are living in Philadelphia? What are those global trends that are having impact on the residents and the communities in the city?
Yeah, and we know that Pew loves data. It's at the heart of our mission, and it's really important to be able to have that reliable data, especially through a nonpartisan lens. It's definitely a big undertaking, and there's a lot of pressure maybe to be putting this out every single year.
It's a big undertaking, but it's important, particularly because we've been doing this for so long. There's a lot of organizations and people that rely on this data every year, and we take that responsibility really seriously.
So looking a little bit into the report itself, what are some of the overall trends that you're seeing coming out of the report for this year?
Overall, I think what we found in the last year for Philadelphia, it's a city in a transition out of the pandemic period. So Philadelphia's population declined by 1.9% since 2020. That's a large decline. Lots of cities saw large declines. But in the last year, from 23 to 24, more than 10,000 people moved back into the city. And so it's a really positive change that we're seeing more people moving into Philadelphia. Another important trend that's changing over time is a reduction in the poverty level. Philadelphia is a high poverty city. 20.3% of Philadelphians live in poverty, but this is the lowest level that has been at since 2000. For a family of 4 living in poverty, they have an income of $32,150. The median income has been rising in Philadelphia. So with the most recent data, median income in Philadelphia is $60,302. That's the first time Philadelphia has been higher than $60,000. A lot of this is driven by the increase in income among the low-wage Philadelphians, which is a really positive trend that we're seeing over time.
So would you say that could depend on where you live in terms of the influence on that median income or your ability to reach that median income level?
It's your access to jobs, your access to education. And the point that we try to highlight in the report is that when you just look at the citywide numbers, you're missing some of the story. You need to go a little bit deeper. Another positive trend that we've seen in the city is just Philadelphia's labor force rate increased to 2.1% last year. It's higher than the national average. And so what we're really seeing in Philadelphia is an increase in jobs, seeing an increase in the especially low-wage Philadelphians and the incomes that they are receiving, but it's still not enough, and those disparities do exist within the city.
Is there a connection between we're seeing the poverty rate decline, good indicators of median income increasing, and then also increasing number in the workforce? So is there a connection there through all of that? Are you able to pull any analysis from what those data points are saying?
We are seeing some really great trends when it comes to jobs in the economy, but we're also seeing some troubling trends in the city, particularly when it comes to housing. And so housing affordability has not historically been an issue throughout the city, mostly because Philadelphia has been historically a city of homeowners. We had much higher percentage of homeowners as compared to renters in Philadelphia. It's been down over the last 20 years, partially due to the increasing cost of homes in the city. Currently, Philadelphia still has more homeowners than renters today. 51.8% of Philadelphia households are homeowning households.
How does that compare to the national average?
The homeownership rate in Philadelphia is 51.8%. Boston, it's 35.9%. Washington, D.C. is 39.1%. And Baltimore, which is closest to Philadelphia, is 47.9%. While the United States has a high home ownership rate, they're much lower generally in cities. One area where Philadelphia is facing a challenge is with vacancy. Citywide, 5% of homes across the city are vacant, but in some census tracts, it can be up to 30%, particularly in places in West and North Philadelphia. When it comes to vacancy, I know that the city is trying to address this by looking at tangled titles. Tangled titles happen when a person passes down a home to people in their family. However, the title does not get transferred through probate, and therefore the people who live in the house will have all the obligations of a homeowner, but very few of the privileges of homeownership.
And when you say through probate, that means
going through the city and officially transferring that title through the records department, so you have the new names. And it costs money. It does cost money, but it gets more and more expensive the longer it takes for probate to be undertaken. In Philadelphia, we have about 10,407 tangled titles across the city, and it's about $1.1 billion in wealth.
I'm sure Philadelphia is not the only city that's dealing with title challenges.
We are actually hearing from a lot of cities right now that are exploring, a lot of cities and counties that are exploring this challenge of tangled title, otherwise known as heirs property, around much of the rest of the country, because you can put policies in place, but if you don't actually understand the scope of the problem and quantify the number of businesses that are impacted, you don't necessarily know what you need to do. And so Pew had put out in 2021 a pioneering study quantifying the number of tangled titles in Philadelphia, and there's a lot of places that are now replicating that study. I think people are really neighborhood focused here. So I live in Port Richmond, And different uses of space is like something I can see daily in my neighborhood because I have a park, a library, and a playground all within a quarter block of each other. And so you see like kids going back and forth between all of them, see older people hanging out with their dogs in the park, so many people using the library. It's like super cool.
Everyone we work with and talk to says that Philadelphia is a city of neighborhoods, and you can feel it when walking around. There's a lot of charm and uniqueness across different parts of the city. So it makes sense that at Pew, we do our neighborly part and give back to our hometown through the State of the City report.
Where can our listeners get more information?
You can check out the full report on our website, pewtrust.org. And as always, let us know what you think. We want to hear from you.
Thanks for listening, and make sure you're subscribed to After the Fact wherever you get your podcasts to hear all of our latest episodes. I'm Juliana Pence.
And I'm Emily Chow, and this is After the Fact.